Well, look, like everybody, we've got a few injuries and a few players out, but we've also got some coming back as well, hopefully. Ryan Fredericks is doing a bit better, so is Arthur. So we've got some good news from that side. We've got a concern about Thomas Souček because of his stitches in his head. So that is something we're concerned about. But probably no different from any other club in the Premier League, got some injuries.
Just on Mikel Antonio, I know you touched on it during the week. If he is selected tomorrow, that'll be 3 games in 6 days. Are you feeling more comfortable that he can cope with a schedule like that? And are you doing anything to help him cope with a schedule like that?
Well, I think Mick himself has done an awful lot to get himself prepared better. Even though he's gone with Jamaica, I think that he's in much better physical condition than he's been before. I think he's looking after himself much better. And I think he is more capable of playing the games. And also, sometimes when you're pushed to do it, you have to do it. So we need him. He's an important member of our squad and our team. We are mindful that we do try to give him some time off when we can. We didn't play him in all the earlier rounds of the Cup, for example, at times. So we've tried to prepare him the best we can. And I've got to say, he's had a great start to the season. And he got a goal the other night. I hope he starts getting on a really good goal scoring run now.
David, I must ask you about Andrei Yarmolenko. Wasn't involved on Wednesday, of course. Has he been training and will he be available on Saturday? And have you made that decision?
Yeah, he has been training, but he won't travel to Liverpool with us. I don't think he's quite ready, and we want to give him every opportunity to do everything he can for his family and for his country. And I think he just feels a little bit bogged down with the whole situation at this present time, so he won't travel with us to Liverpool.
Yeah, we can't even imagine how difficult a time it is for him. Just from what you've seen and when you've spoken to him, how is he and how hard is it for you to find ways to try and help him?
Well, we can only give him our full support. The club, we continually ask if there's anything we can do. It's a difficult situation. I spoke with him this morning for probably 20 minutes about it and tried to ask a few questions about what's going on, etc. But it's really difficult because nobody's ever been in this circumstances before, and I hope I'm never in it again. But look, coming into training sometimes makes things feel a little bit better for him, and we try to give him a bit of release from that, but we also want to do everything we possibly can for him and his family.
Just on that, I mean, as a manager, you obviously want to help all of your players and obviously have some sort of kind of control being a manager. Do you almost feel helpless? Have you ever felt as helpless as this when it comes to a situation like this?
Well, I feel helpless in as much as that we as a country, not just me as a football manager, we as a country and as a population, I think we all feel as if we can't do enough, and we're just hoping that our government and all the other governments do everything they possibly can to make this as difficult a situation as possible. So we're all helpless, really.
Just a final one from me, David. You were very honest after that defeat in the Cup to Southampton, saying if the players don't improve, you've got nothing to play for. But those comments, to me, almost felt like a crossroads, like a line in the sand. Is that almost the message you've given to the players?
No, that's the message from an angry and disappointed manager right after a game, Dan Mesh, who was fed up that his team didn't get a result. And I would hope you, as an experienced journalist, would have probably read into that. But it seems not.
I just thought I'd try.
Yeah.
Thanks, Darnish. Becky from PLP.
David.
Hi, Becky.
Hi. Just wanted to ask you, is it good that a game comes so quickly after the FA Cup defeat?
Probably not because of the quickness, Becky. So we're not pleased with the Premier League that we've had to play so many games, and you can relay that to them, please, if you don't mind. That that we had the game on Sunday, a cup game on the Wednesday. Now we're playing again on Saturday. So 3 games in 6 days would not be correct.
Add to that, you've got 2 away games in there as well. You've had travelling. I know you had a really busy period, November, December. Is there anything that you learned about your own team or the boys learned that they've managed to implement this time?
Well, the thing about our players is they've been really resilient. You know, whenever we've had to continue playing them, we've actually shown it. Even in lockdown, in the continued games, and the periods we were really busy. Even last year, they always sort of backed it up and came good again. So I've got a lot of confidence that that will happen. But obviously, you know, with the fixtures we've got, it's made it a real difficult week for us. But there we go.
And how's confidence levels going into this one? Because you got the best for Liverpool last time out.
Yeah, we did. But let's always remember that we have a really difficult task going to Anfield. I've found it really difficult throughout my career because Liverpool have really, really good teams. They tend to have top managers, what they've got at the moment. And because of that, it makes it a hard game when you go to Anfield. It always is.
Lovely. David, thank you and well done for last night on your award.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you, Becky. Phil from BBC London.
Hi, Phil.
Phil, yeah, there's an issue with your sound.
Is that any better?
Yeah, there we go.
It was better the other time, Phil. It was better the other way.
You're absolutely right, David. That's what everyone said.
Yeah.
Congratulations on last night, well deserved.
Thank you.
As you say, I mean, Liverpool are always a tough opponent, but how much of a relish is that to take on the best that you possibly can as a manager and as a group of players?
Well, I think at the moment we have a Premier League which is full of the top teams in Europe and well, in the world. When you look, Chelsea are world champions, Champions League winners. We've got Liverpool, who are the year before Champions League winners. We've got Manchester City, who we know are arguably the best team in Europe, wherever you look at the moment. So the Premier League's so difficult, but also so good that you've got those levels of games. We have great atmospheres in the stadiums, so there's so much in the Premier League which is so good. But sometimes going to Anfield is very difficult, and it has been for me over many years. But hopefully it gets better this time.
Absolutely. I suppose Liverpool played midweek as well, and they had a game last weekend. So there's no necessarily advantage that one team would have got. I know a very busy schedule for you and for them as well. Does that make it slightly fairer?
Well, if you give me half of their squad, Phil, I might have said it ends up fairer. But other than that, yes, you're right, it is very fair.
And just finally, in regards to us, we're also looking at leadership as well. I mean, you've had a great leader in Mark Noble. You've got a young man out there now who wears the captain's armband in Declan Rice. What is it that makes good leaders from your perspective when you're looking at selecting someone to have an armband or to be a leader at a training ground or during a 90 minutes?
Well, I think there's. I look at some exceptional leaders for England. I look at Jordan Henderson as one. I look at Harry Maguire, Harry Kane. I look round at so many people who are excellent leaders. And I think the good thing that Declan Rice has had is the opportunity to see how they operate, see how they work. And then he's also had a brilliant, loyal captain who has for many years carried the dressing room, you know, a football club at West Ham here in Mark Noble. So you hope that if Declan's get a bit of sense, he's looking at them, how do they do it? How's the best way to operate here? Because leadership doesn't always have to be in one way. It can come in different ways. Some people can do it through talking and communicating. There's other people who do it by their actions. So there's many different ways where leadership's important. But I think the biggest thing when you're on the field that you have to take responsibility. You have to want the ball. You have to take sole responsibility for the team when no matter how it goes. And I think Mark Noble over the years has done that here at West Ham. And I've got to say, Declan at the moment is doing a really good job of following him at the moment.
Brilliant, thank you for your time. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Cheers, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. And finally, James from TalkSport.
David, in the last few minutes, Jurgen Klopp has been speaking about Jared Bowen, and he said he's an unbelievable player. How would you describe him?
I see Jared Bowen as a player who's making unbelievable progress as a player, and he continues to make progress. And I think for me, that's always the thing you want to see with players is how they continue to make progress. And Jared, I've got to say, has stepped up. And I don't mean just stepping up when you arrive from Hull City to West Ham. I think the thing is, can you do it? And quite often the players who really make a real success of it are the ones who don't do it immediately. It takes them a little bit of time. But I've got to say, if we're using the word unbelievable in Jared Bowen, I'm struggling to know what words I would use for the Liverpool players. But I have to say that Jared himself's done really well. But you know, we have huge admiration for the players that Liverpool Football Club have.
You'll be aware that when West Ham lose matches, which hasn't been very often over the last year or so, there are then questions about squad depth and the lack of signings. What do you make of that?
Yeah, quite rightly so. We could do with a stronger squad. Would have liked to have made more signings, but every time I get asked the question, I feel like saying is, do you think we never tried to do it? Do you think that we didn't make offers? Do you think that we don't know that we need a bigger squad? But you know, I keep saying Rome wasn't built in a day. I want to continue building West Ham. I said right at the start, the room West Ham has for future development, potential to get better. And those things you've mentioned are just two of them. So we're aware of that. But I think it's a good sign that we're still doing okay. And people like yourself are mentioning about our squad depth or the players we've got.
And finally, from me, on that, following on from that, do you think that the signings that need to be made this summer, do you think a significant number will need to be made so that you can compete at this same level you are now next season?
I think yes. To answer yes, simple yes. But you've also got to remember that not all signings work, and I can think of lots of clubs who've spent a lot of money recently, and you wouldn't need to think too hard whether that's not worked. So quite often it's an easy thing to be a journalist and just say, do you need more signings? It actually takes quite a lot of thought in trying to get exactly the correct players with the right character who fit what you're doing and what you want to do, and try to spend what money the West Ham supporters have put into the club as wisely as I possibly can.